My name is Linda Kutsia and welcome to today's webinar, The Future of HR in the Digital Age, with the spotlight on the hospitality industry. As I said before, I'm Linda. I'll be facilitating this session. I have a little bit of a background noise. Is it me? Or Labi? If you could, there we go. Thank you very much. No. Am I still audible? Okay, great. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to those who are today's webinar and to those who are part of this session, the participants part of this session. Welcome to this webinar. The panelists are going to introduce themselves, and I'll give them the opportunity to do that in a sec. I just want to get rid of the logistics behind the webinar, just to let the participants know you are more than welcome to use the chat function actively and to ask questions via the chat function. Panelists, you're more than welcome to also answer those questions in the chat function if you wish to do so. I will keep an eye on that function for the panelists and for the participants. And when the questions that you are asking is relevant to the conversation that we are having, I will definitely post that to the panelists, or they will answer it as they speak. You will not have the opportunity to verbally ask questions. Unfortunately, your functionality within this webinar session is restricted to the chat function only. So here's to a wonderful webinar. I know that we are going to gain a lot from this, specifically a lot from this from a practical perspective, from a real life perspective, from what is going on within the industry, because of this wonderful panel sitting in front of me and the expertise that they share. So I am really looking forward to this session and welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining. So shall we start with the introduction? So the panelists, hello Brian, I see we've got another panelist who has joined. I understand
hello.
We had some technical.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Brian, and yes, welcome.
Sorry.
No problem. I do understand that there was some technical difficulty in signing in to the webinar, so please, so you haven't missed much. I just introduced myself, which you will, I mean, you're going to get very bored of my voice, so I will stop talking now. We are at the start of the session where each and every panelist gets the opportunity to introduce themselves, just say a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the interest that you have with as far as the title or the content of this webinar, what we need to reach, and tell us where you work, tell us which organization you form a part of. So I'm going to pick on Tosan, if you would like to start for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Trust you're all doing great. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this panel. My name is Tosan Adebanjo. I'm currently the Director of Human Resources at Lagos Marriott Hotel, Ikeja. I work for the biggest hospitality company in the world, Marriott International. And yeah, I had to throw that in. And I've been working in human resources and operations for over 13 years. I've worked across different industries and different sectors, and currently back in hospitality.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely one of the most known groups, if I can call it that way, in this industry. So thank you very much, Tosan. We're looking forward, and then your international kind of experience there is definitely going to add value to this discussion.
I didn't understand that.
So my apologies, my phone is talking on its own. She's taken So if you hear something in the background, she is on silent, I can promise you that. But she's taking instructions from somewhere, and I don't know what I pushed and need to unpush to make her stop. That's not out of disrespect for you. She's on mute, but you know, whatever. You know, talking about technology. Anyway, so Son, thank you so much for that introduction. Brian, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to meet you, Tosin, and every other panelist. Yes, I work all my life with the hospitality industry. Started with Starwood, then Southern Sun, and then and I've always worked in finance departments. I've been an accountant within the sector up to becoming director of finance, Ecom Hotel and Golf Resort, and later on went into operations as general manager for the same hotel. And now currently I'm general manager for Victoria Crown Plaza Hotel, VI, and also executive director with Celsius Hospitality, which is a regional hotel management company startup that is pushing up for regional brand within the West African region. I am also a speaker in most hotel events and hotel conferences, and in 2015 started the Nigerian Hotel and Tourism Investment Conference. So I'm glad to be here today, and I hope that we'll be able to do justice to this webinar topic today.
Thank you very much, Brian. I'm sure you'll do justice to the topic, as you would all. So thank you very much for that. Jennifer, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. So glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I am very humbled and honored to be among the panelists today. I can see the likes of Tosin, who just dropped a bomb. Tosin, thanks for mentioning that about Marriott, and Brian and everybody else here. Thank you so much for having me. So my background is very similar to Tosin's in a way that I have moved across industries as well. This is my first stint at hospitality. My focus really is customer experience management for Transcorp in Abuja. And yeah, that's what I do now. And that's been my focus regardless of the industry that I've worked in, like just helping companies create fewer ruined days for guests or for customers, basically. Yeah. So I look forward to learning from everyone today. It looks like it's going to be a very interesting conversation. Tosin started it, but looks like it's going to be very interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Thanks so much. Tai? Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon again. Again, apologies. I'm having to join on my phone. I'm currently having issues joining on my laptop. Okay, so just like the other two speakers have mentioned, my experience to cut across different sectors, financial service, ICT, real estate, and of course, hospitality. I'm currently the head HR for Transcorp Hotels Calabar, one of the leading hotel brands in Nigeria. So for me, I'm someone who is really passionate about people development. I have, so my intent really is to, discover, nurture, develop, and retain talent. So I'm really happy to be in this industry where I'm having to basically live that thing that I'm really passionate about and see it playing out. Again, I feel very honored to be here because I know that's also going to be a learning opportunity for me. So thank you once again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Tana. Thank you for joining us. I'm really looking forward to it. And there's quite a few things that we need to get to as a panel in order to if we get through the panelists, for those participants listening, were given questions. If we get through the first three, this is going to be an interesting discussion to have, even, Oluwatoyin. I'm still fresh in Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies, ma'am.
It's okay. It's okay. And you tried anyway. So Oluwatoyin is my name. Oluwatoyin Adekunle. Glad to be among my colleagues here. It's pleasant meeting everyone here in the room. I currently work with Radisson Blue Hotel Ikeja, the brand of the Radisson Hotel Group. Before I came into hospitality, I worked in a logistics company, that's Nigerian Clearing and Forwarding Agency, but I've had more of my experience in hospitality, over 14 years now in hospitality and accounting. So yeah, good to have you, everyone here. So let's learn together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olo. Alabi, if you would like to introduce yourself, please unmute and do so.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody. My name is Alabi Opolua. I have had over 10 years working experience in HR sector at different organizations, different sector, ranging from logistics, education, consulting, and here I'm presently in hospitality. I've spent quite a number of years in hospitality, over 7 years now. Currently in hospitality, I currently work as head human resources at Conference Hotel Group. Basically, we are in the States. We have branches across. We have branch in Abeokuta, Jebu-J, Shadam, and one at Michelle Yosho. I'm so passionate about how technology could be deployed in achieving, a seamless HR practices. So passionate about talent development, talent acquisition, and performance management. I'm here to learn and also, contribute my quota to body of knowledge of HR in the digital age. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are our panel, introduced by themselves. Very well done. Thank you very much for that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to start the conversation, if that's okay with you, with what I think the general public thinks about or understands or knows about hospitality, and the challenges that hospitality has faced during the past maybe 2 years, and then ask the question about that challenges and how it affected you and how you have learned from those challenges. So, and also how technology has influenced the industry completely in a different way and with the different options as the public can see in front of us. So maybe to sample it down and maybe to ask you to answer some of those points that I've now spoken about by starting the conversation with a reflection, right? And saying, what was your personal learnings about leadership that arised from this COVID crisis? And I mean, that's a reflective question. What have you learned from the crisis? And maybe just also remember that not everyone, all the participants in this, do understand the industry as well as you do. So maybe in your answers to just also give us this is what you were facing. This is what you're still facing after that, because it gave way to entrepreneurs who took advantage of the situation. But what did you learn on a personal level about leadership during this crisis? So shall I pick on someone, or is there someone specifically you would like to start the conversation off? If you would like to give me a show of hand. So I need to pick on someone. Okay, no problem. Oluwatoyin, yes, ma'am. If you could, if you would like to take that one on.
Okay, thank you so much. You know, COVID had came, and it's interesting that, of a truth, it's a catalyst. Because so many things that we thought would take longer time to implement just came right in front of us. And as leaders, where we are in our respective organization, leading our team, leading our organization, leading our business, one thing that it has taught me as a person is about to rethink humanity's future. It's about understanding that it is no more business as usual. The paradigm has shifted in its entirety. You know, especially leading our people, knowing that it is not just about the organization. Yes, it is paramount. Without the organization, we won't even have to have people hired or even managed. But you now know that having human feeling, empathy, has now come forward. People does not even need to know if it was not even more interested, you know, about if the organization is doing well or not. It is actually important, but you know, it has shifted from being business focused to integrating to the people. So understanding that you need to rethink about human being, because they are the ones that will drive your organization goals, your organization strategy. No matter how beautiful your strategy session had been as an organization, you really need the human being, the people there, to even be fine, to be alive for themselves, before you're even talking about, okay, are they even engaged in the organization, in the system, in order to drive your business decisions or business goals. So right now, there is more need for global collaboration. Yes, the industry is so beautiful. You have so many new hospital, you have new hotels springing up, doing well, and all that, right? But you now know that you alone cannot just lead, cannot just be successful alone. There is need for collaboration, global collaboration. Here we have so many global brands here in the room. Here we can see that there is need. You cannot even satisfy everybody. You need to be open to be, you need to collaborate with others if you must even play in the hospitality industry. And how can you even do that?
Okay.
Leveraging digital, leveraging, you know, technology is one fantastic way to deal with it. So those are my two key points, knowing that it is human focus more than the business. And, you know, because it is even the human being, the people, that will help you to achieve all the beautiful goals that we have even set in the first place. And the need for international cooperation, collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jennifer, would you like to add to that? Or because I
Absolutely.
thought you would, with your customer experience background, yeah?
Yeah, I think I like what everything that Toyin has said. I just wanted to add that when COVID came, I guess the first reaction for us was panic. Across, I mean, everybody just panicked. Do you remember the rush for ventilators and all that? You know, that was the focus for the first few weeks. And the business really took a back seat. And I agree with what she's saying, that it became about people. How do we survive this? How do we beat this? And all that. I agree. But for me, something else I learned, because empathy, I mean, the hospitality industry, empathy has always been, you know, emphasized. I think we looked at it from the customer angle alone, from the customer experience angle, and not from an employee experience angle, you know. But with COVID, of course, we had to introspect and look at, you know, things things from the team's perspective and know what our team members were going through and how we had to help them go through that. For my organization, there's several things that we did, like counseling. Counseling. We had counselors on an app you could reach out to and speak to, because the period of isolation was tough on some people, especially if they didn't have family. It was tough on them. In society, you have people walking across the world, being in a different country where your family isn't, and there's a pandemic. So there was a lot. Sorry about the noise. There was a lot going on there.
You're always on duty. We understand that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, then for me, I think something that I took out from pandemic was also creating an agile team, right? So we're doing this now, and thanks to the pandemic, we can have. I know Zoom existed and online meetings existed, but we embraced it more because of the pandemic, and building an agile team. We became more flexible as people, as a team. So cross-functional teams. Like I said, hospitality is very traditional industry. You want to do a career in front office, you go that way. You want to do a career in F&B, you go that way. But COVID kind of changed that. You see people now want to pivot and try other things. And for an organization, it's important you have a team that are cross-functional. They understand what the other team is going through and what they do, so they can move around and even create a leaner team, so to speak. With COVID, we had a lot of our team members away from work, and we had a smaller team handle the hotel in the first days. So that was something that a hotel the size of Hilton, for example, Transcorp Hilton Abuja, for example, probably not have considered, but COVID opened our eyes, to that. And coming out of the pandemic as well, it changes your mind from the traditional things. You don't lead traditionally anymore. You have to adapt to the new ways of doing things, new customer behavior changing rapidly. You have to change as rapid, so that's what I learned. That's one of the key lessons for me as a customer experience person and as someone in the industry as well.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Tusan?
I just want to add to what Toyin and Jennifer had said. I wasn't in hospitality during the pandemic. I came back after, but I had been in another industry that was also hit badly by the pandemic. But one thing that I have learned post, well, we're still in the pandemic, but at least it's lightened up a bit. But one thing I've learned is, a lot of people lost confidence in the industry because of the way things happen, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and people just right now we're in the phase where we're trying to restore confidence back in the industry. We're trying to convince people why they should carry on with a career in hospitality. Why should they come into this industry and not join other industries? And of course, with the pandemic, what happened was people started to diversify. They became entrepreneurs. They got other jobs where they were working remotely. And like Jennifer said, in hospitality, it's traditional. We're people oriented, so it's difficult to have that virtual interaction within hospitality. You can't really put all the jobs and say we would have people work from home. We have to interact with the guests and the people. So just also just convincing and putting in those systems that would make people see that this industry is getting better. It's worth coming back in here. And obviously, and of course, what Jennifer said about cross-functional teams, what this has done is people have also realized that, life is short. I want to do so many things. I want to try so many things. So now you have to ensure that you're flexible to accommodate those new developmental and learning needs. Someone who has been in front office all this while might want to decide, I want to try culinary, or I want to try F&B, so we also have to create that flexibility and create those opportunities for them to grow. So those are just other points I wanted to add to what Jennifer and Toyin had said.
Good. Thank you very much, Tosan. And you touching on one of the other points that that we would have liked to talk about today, which is the new and emerging service requirements that customers have upon return. You know, maybe because they have gone through the you know, and have this new set of life goals that they wish to achieve, that is adding to your presentation of the product that you have, or the what product is the wrong word, I suppose, the experience that you share with your guests, right? So maybe what are those, and what have you noticed? And I mean, also with these new boutique or low maintenance or Airbnb or whatever it has sprung up, what are they missing by not entering into an experience with you within the big experiences that when we think of the hotel industry, that's what we think about. Of course, with technology changing and options being available and so forth, it might have differed. So what are the emerging service requirements that customers have, and how is it that that you can still provide people with this unique experience as an industry? Brian, being on many boards and being an entrepreneur yourself, maybe that would be a question that you would like to answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to draw a little perspective to my own perspective to the initial question that was addressed by some of my colleagues here, I want to speak from two perspectives, from the general manager perspective, and then from an investor perspective as well. You would know that during the COVID, the way COVID staff responded post-COVID in Nigeria and maybe Africa is somewhat different from how they responded in Europe and America. And this is basically because in Europe and America, government took care of the citizens and those that were out of work. And so getting them back to work was a little bit tough because they were no longer willing to go back to work, because already while at home, you know, they had a lot of, you know, stimulus, checks, paychecks, COVID-19 checks and all of that, that kept them busy. But in the reverse is the case in Nigeria in particular, because over here, we had to take care of our staff to keep them with maybe half pay, 20% pay, 30% pay, and they got nothing from the government side. So when post-COVID, they were more eager to come back to work, so they could get their complete pay, and then of course be able to meet up with their financial obligations. And what COVID did, obviously, is that on the human resources side as well, is the introduction of technology. You know that COVID-19 brought about, like, you know, the use of Zoom, Teams, you know, Microsoft Team, you know, Google Meet and all of that. And the use becomes more prominent. So these days, you need also to invest more. And then, of course, from the guest side, you have something like, you know, mobile check-in, you know, contactless check-in process, opt-in and opt-out procedure with regards to cleaning the rooms, and a lot more frequency with regards to, you know, having to disinfect the rooms. You know, that becomes a lot more frequent to do. And then, of course, increasing also collaterals like hand gloves, sanitizers, and all of that, you know, and disinfectant wipes, you know, also came in with regards to cost implication of it. So now, you know, like human resources professionals here would do, you know, right now, you could do almost 3 stages of the interviews without having to meet the guest the candidate personally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so until maybe the last one, you can say, okay, just come to the office, let's see what you look like and all of that. But even candidates themselves are not also very willing to start traveling long distance, the traffic in Lagos, just to go and attend an interview. They're not sure, you know, that will come out well. And what this also brought about also as well is the fact that people have become more mobile than they were before COVID with regards to staff and employee retention, because one, there's a lot more online jobs. Virtual assistance training is going on every day. Everybody is getting certified in virtual assistance, so they could work at home and they could do a lot more things. There's a lot more options for them than it were during that time. And this poses a challenge. So mobility, staff mobility, or no, not mobility now, staff turnover has now become a big challenge to the human resources guys here, because, you know, every time you need to do interviews, you are like, okay, this one is gone, it's here, because the world simply became smaller than it were before COVID-19, and everybody could access anything. So these are some of the things I would say. But if you ask me, would technology, you know, replace human effort in the hotel business? I don't think so, because there are a lot that needs to be done with human involvement in the hotel business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For sure, Brian, the world definitely got very small, but it also became very, very large from an HR perspective, because you were recruiting, if it is online, globally. You had the reach to be able to recruit globally, which brings out another set of issues, skills, and do we have it in Nigeria? Can we, you know, there's so many that goes into that argument, which we can certainly have if that's the way that this conversation moves. But I agree with you, Brian, that there's the human element that you are seeking when you are seeking the experience of that the hospitality industry is offering. So yeah, will that be the case? I maybe Taye, if you would like to answer that. I don't think so. And if you would like to add to that conversation.
Okay, thank you very much again, Linda. Mm-hmm. So speaking of, so you had asked the question on the what are the new requirements from the customers. So one of the things that actually, you know, basically jumps at me, thinking of what the pandemic did, was how the pandemic quickly introduced us to the fourth revolution, which we are basically at the brink of it, which is like an infusion of digital, physical, and the biological spheres, basically. So, you know, if you're speaking about the new requirement of the customers, your customers are, you know, looking to have hotel spaces where, like someone already mentioned, they have contactless services, you know, where I think I recently saw something about Alexa for hotels, where, you know, you can be in your room and you don't have to have contact with someone to get your things done. You can basically be in bed and you're using your voice control to open your window blinds, close your window blinds, get Alexa to place an order for you, and all of it. So Tosan has mentioned something about, you know, will the technology take the place of humans in hospitality totally? I don't think it will. I don't think it will. And again, just to also mention my own view to the technology space, hospitality is one sector that will be a bit slow to embracing this digital environment that we're moving into it will be a bit slow because, of course, there are some frontliners that you're not able to replace immediately, like the housekeeper, for instance, the person who makes the bed. Yes, there are robotics now in the restaurants that take your orders, that bring your orders. There are robotics at the concierge, helping you take your luggage to the front desk or even to the elevator. But there are still some frontline workers that were unable to replace with this robot. And it will be, yes, the customer requirements are in that line. You know, like I mentioned, the biotech as well, where you use your fingerprint to get your door open. You're able to do everything you want to do by yourself without having to interact with any physical human being. But it will be a bit slow to that. But whilst it's going to be slow, one of the skills, because you did mention that what are also the skills that perhaps in the workplace we need to have. So also taking us back to the question you had asked about the learnings, one of the learnings for me during the COVID was how important it was for every employee, HR at the top of it, to have the change management skill, because the changes are coming faster than anyone can think. So that change management skill, the agility required in the space, and also to be able to adapt. COVID also showed us how leadership are becoming more collaborative and conversational, especially when it has to do with the well-being of people. I work in an organization where, when the COVID hit, we worked from home for a while, and whilst we were working from home, we were in touch with one another. We had different activities that everyone was in attendance. No one looked like the CEO. No one looked like the president group CEO. It was, the structures are getting flatter. So these are things that, COVID has helped us to fast track. There are things that are still going to come to pass. They are going to come to play as this revolution happens. But COVID has just helped us to fast track it. And if I would just even give an advice around this, is just to say that, leadership, they've sort of embraced this. They've become more collaborative, more conversational, and it's something that we should keep up with in the industry, because I know it's going to help us as we move slowly to the advancement of technology in the space. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oluwatoyin, I see your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to add to all that has been beautifully added. One thing that became more important for our customers after the COVID struck, from our own data, from our own review and feedback, was the fact that customers, guests now need to know what we are doing as regards CSR. They now want to know how safe, how clean the environment is. Do you have any eco-label certification? Those were the things. How do you have trees planted around you? Do you have fresh bread? Those are the things that came up from our reviews in terms of when COVID came in here. So when we now have guests around, they want to know which of the because we have a Green Key International certification already. So those are one of the things that guests also want to know. Apart from is it safe? Apart from security, they also want to know how healthy the environment is. How healthy is it? And then, which is also routine, which is also renewed. That's what I wanted to add to it.
So people are also now asking about how healthy you are to the environment. and in asking all of those green questions. Yeah, that's very interesting also. It's something that's been coming through the hospitality industry very clearly. If you visit, if you are a frequent visitor or business traveler and so forth. Alabi, is there something you would like to add here or give us your perspective of how your personal learnings about leadership arrived after the COVID crisis?
Oh, thank you
Or
very
on
much.
the customer service, new requirements of these crazy customers?
Well, all has been said. I would just like to add quickly that, basically, in addition, there are three major events that has actually changed, the way of work currently. And first one is no one has actually mentioned that that's the emergence of the tech-savvy generation. We now have them everywhere. These are the millennial. We call them the millennial, the Gen Z, and the Generation Y. They want to explore because we cannot be talking about generation. We cannot be talking about digital age without mentioning the millennial. They are everywhere. Another one is the digital age also engendered unprecedented deployment of technology across all industry, which we also experience in the hospitality industry. These days you have key card that can actually power your room when you are checking out, and when you are checking in, you can also do that to power on. And lastly, which happened to be the era of COVID-19, these three major events actually shape the way we deal with people, be it customers, be it employee, and there are a lot of disruption, whether we like it or not. Plans that COVID-19 brought about a huge disruption in every industry, which hospitality industry is not left out. Like one of the panelists mentioned earlier, she mentioned something about change management. It became very critical for every industry, hospitality industry, to embrace change management. And whether you like it or not, one of the ethics of change management is resistance to change. It's very traditional industry, whether you like it or not. And you find out that a lot of people want to resist change. A lot of people want to tell you, this is not the way we've been doing it. So change management. And another thing I also noticed is aspect of globalization and digitalization, which is affecting industry. Gone are the days where people believe that we are lagging behind in Nigeria. People feel that whatever happened in the remote location is not really having impact. But these days, it's changing, and we can see that in exodus of each talent out of Nigeria to other locations like the UK, the American, and the Canada. So these are part of the disruption, because people cannot access job from Nigeria. I don't want to mention the name of the brand, but I was meant to understand during the course of interview, while I was interviewing some group of candidates, that once you are fully integrated into one of the systems here in one of the branded hotel now, talking about one of the branded hotel, and maybe locally the management could actually look into this. I was meant to understand that you become very valuable when you move out of Nigeria to probably join that same organization in that country. A very good example is the Radisson, for example. If you have work experience in Radisson, Nigeria, then you can work in Radisson, UK, and America. So there has been exodus movement of people that has never been experienced before now. After the COVID-19, a lot of people became very aware of their environment and how they can explore and how they can do things better. Then another thing they also mentioned is, like I always tell people, COVID-19 made us understand that stay interview has actually become very critical in all industry. Now, stay interview, basically you don't wait for people to tender resignation before you can approach them to know what they are going through. There was so much trauma, there was emotional, instability during the period of COVID-19, and it became very critical for HR to restore humanity to human resources because before now it has always been performance management, and if you're not matching up with objectives and tasks, then you get penalized. So leadership became very reflective of environment. And lastly, it also brought about outdoor catering for most of the hotel, because people were scared of coming into the hotel, and it became very paramount for most hotels to come up with the initiative of going out for outdoor catering. Okay, how can we bring your lunch to your organization, or how can we come to your party for our outdoor catering? Then lastly, it also brought about, this COVID-19 also brought about huge innovation, which I've mentioned. There are a lot of apps through which you can, book, rooms, and that will actually be, affected on the system in the organization. And once you are coming, you don't need to, say a lot of things before you can check in. And this has actually gone beyond booking now. Now, people are becoming smarter. A lot of hotels are becoming smarter. You can actually book your food via mobile applications, and you get it within 10 to 30 minutes. So these are huge disruption, and I think we are still learning. We see that hospitality industry is traditional. And lastly, let me just say this. Even though with the innovation and digital disruption, like one of our panelists just mentioned, there's no way we'll take away human effort from the hotel industry. When you have issues with guests, it is not the robots that will do the damage control. People have to come on board. It's something that we've done, in the past. So human will always be relevant, and this is a time for HR to take training and development seriously, and not just training, innovative training. We need to be updated as regard what is going on in the industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alabi. There was a lot said there. Jennifer, your hand went up when Alabi was saying one specific thing. Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, Alabi's said a lot. I liked when he mentioned a change in demography for our guests. So we have a lot of younger guests coming in because, with COVID came this term called staycation. So with staycation, you find that a lot of young people are the ones doing the staycation. And with a lot of younger guests, the Gen Zs and millennials, what you find is they want a frictionless, experience. That's one thing that came up with COVID. With frictionless experiences, they don't want anything that would, make their stay remotely difficult, whether it's at booking or at the stay itself. So they are very impatient. So they will not give you a second opportunity if your app is not working, or they don't have the patience for that. They just move to the next thing. So that's when you talked about demography, I thought about that. Then something that we had it in the industry before, I think across industries actually, but with COVID, personalization became very paramount. Everybody's looking at having personalized, tailor-fit experiences, So people you find now are a lot more willing to release their data information. Before COVID, it wasn't as much. So hospitality companies need to leverage on that and build trust. You have to ensure that you don't have a data leak or anything, because there's so much you can do with customers' data. If you have the information about their past experiences, or even the behavior online or whatever, you can now curate experiences for them, and that's always a win. When you get it right with the guests, with personalized experiences, always a win for a business or for the hotel. And that translates directly to repeat business and, of course, an improvement in your bottom line. So there's so many things that came out. I love all the submissions that everybody has given. But for me, those two things, it's remarkable, really. Let me give an example that we have now. During COVID, people couldn't couldn't do room view. Like you want to, organizations especially want to see the kind of rooms you have or the kind of event centers you have. I mean, some hotels went crazy and started doing things like virtual augmentation, or is it the one where you can actually just view the room on a 3D and see exactly what it's about? I mean, that's how far COVID has taken us. So, and I like that submission Ty made about organizational change management. That is so critical. If you don't, I mean, disruptions will come. This COVID is one of the things that's happened to us of late, but we know that things are happening constantly. The last speaker was speaking about massive exodus of talent. That's happening across. It's not about just hospitality, across industries, right? A lot of people are moving their families. I'm sure on this panel, the 1 or 2 people planning to move their families to maybe Canada or the UK very soon. You know, so we're losing talent from this part of the world. But again, I like the fact that you mentioned that the world is now flat. We can get talent from abroad as well. But again, very importantly, you have to have a change management program. In fact, I'd advise that you have a change manager on ground all the time to manage, because it's going to keep hitting us more than it did before. Yeah, continuously. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Yeah, I think with the Exodus, I think it's also that we need to, and Brian and Taye, see your hands. It's also so much, if I have to take myself as an experience, or my own experience, I did live overseas before and worked overseas before, but 20 years ago. Compared to my experience now here in Nigeria, it's completely different, because it is so easy. And so, I mean, I just pick up the phone and have a wireless call, or put on my Zoom and speak to my mom and dad directly, you know, in their eyes, not just over the phone. You know, it's so much more easier to feel closer to your family when you are far. So I think there's more to the exodus that we're experiencing than just dissatisfaction. It's just so much. It's easier to go out there and still come back and things like that. Brian, you wanted to add? And then Taye?
Yes, adding to customers' expectation post-COVID, I think one thing that is very clear and prominent in terms of customer expectation is hygiene level. Customer right now, hygiene level, cleanliness.
Hygiene, okay, yeah.
Yes, hygiene, yeah.
Okay.
So customers are very, very, particular with the level of hygiene in the rooms and within the hotel. And that also put a lot of pressure on housekeeping in terms of ensuring that the bed sheets, the room, the toilets, everything is well taken care of. Because you know that the COVID-19 was basically being controlled by increasing your hygiene level. So when people leave their houses to come to hotels, they want to see a very clean environment, clean reception, clean kitchen. You know, it's a whole process showing cleanliness. And once that is not met, the customer becomes very aggressive and not willing to, not willing to stay in that hotel or have a repeat to that hotel. Another thing is because of the reduction in contacts, human-to-human contacts, there's also an increasing need for fast internet within the hotel, so that once in your hotel, you can speak, like you said, a Zoom call to family, to some of the businesses that you need to do, that you don't have to make contact. So for me, in my own experience as a hotel manager, these are the two things that I have seen that really requires a lot of attention to be able to retain, guests in your hotel.
What was one of the first questions you ask as a guest at a hotel? Here's my passport, here's my name, what's your Wi-Fi password? You know, I've done it. Taye, if you would like to add. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to quickly speak to demography, because Alabi touched on it, Jennifer also did. but they basically did from the point of the customer. So I wanted to also touch on it from the HR perspective. We're in an era where we have at least 4 generations in the workplace. So, employers are having to juggle the expectations of this different generation. So one of the learnings really, and one of the things that we must embrace at this time is to have a culture that is inclusive and diverse, a culture that is, very accommodating of, all the generations that you have in the workplace, just to ensure that you're future-proof, basically. So I wanted to add that from the people, from the HR perspective as well, we have, the 4th generation in the workplace, and you have to have a culture that is inclusive and also diverse. So like I mentioned earlier, agility is important. You have to be able to adapt so quickly. Policies, humans actually create policies, or they come up with policies. So employers should be willing, and they should pay keen attention to the nuances in the environment, to know when to quickly change or review policies that may no longer be useful in the workplace. So it's important, like I said, we have at least 4 generations in the workplace. So inclusion and diversity being embedded in the culture is very key at this time. Thank you.
I think very key with any industry that is service orientated, that has a service front, inclusivity and diversity, but also behind the screen, because as a guest you can pick up the nuances of any organization that you are visiting if you stay there long enough. More than you can pick up the culture of the country or what you went there to experience, which is not something that you want to leave with a guest if there's any adversity or anything like that. I like what you are saying as a panel. I'm getting to agility, which is linked to change, which you are all applauding, and how to be agile and how to be able to counter this disruption, or how to be able to anticipate or be prepared for disruption, whatever that disruption might be. So what are we looking at when it comes to the hospitality industry, when it comes to ways in which things are going to be done differently? When it, like I asked before, why is it still so important to experience the hotel experience even more? And Jennifer, you started talking about that personal experience. How do you get to that with 300 rooms, if you have that big of an establishment, that are all decorated the same, by offering a unique experience? How do you still maintain to do that? And retention, because now one of the things is also, if you are part of a global group, and that is one of the most advantages of being part of a global group, but also disadvantages of the global group, because if you go to a global hotel and you have a bad experience at that city's global hotel, you will not use them globally again. So the knock-on effect of bad experiences is bad experiences within the world. Now you are blaming the whole group, So I think in a global for international global group, that is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to live up to and to maintain within your environment. So okay, now I've asked 7 questions again in one sentence. Typically, I always do that. But if there's a part of what I asked or something that you would like to share with the participants, please share it with us. How do we prepare? How do we make sure that is there? That agility, Tosan, thank you so much. That agility is part of your offering, because it sounds as though that's where you are moving towards as a panel. Yes, Tosan. Would you like to say something?
So I'll just give, just one example. You talked about if you're a hotel with 300 rooms and possibly over 300 guests staying at a time, how do you curate those personal connections or personal experiences for the guests. And I would say that's where we also leverage on technology. So for example, you have your mobile app, and your guests can even start in from putting in items that they prefer. So for example, if a guest doesn't like feather pillows and would prefer the down alternative, or an extra blanket, or they need a rollaway bed, or you're checking in a guest and you notice their birthdays within their stay, and you create an experience there, or before they check in, you just put in a little surprise in there. So those are the little ways that you can create those experiences. And of course, you also have guests who have specific needs. Some would speak up, and some you overhear. They're sitting in the restaurant and you overhear those conversations. So in terms of agility, it means that we become more creative. It becomes we're paying more attention to details. We're responding to cues. We don't wait for the guests to always tell us what they need, but we preempt, and we look ahead, to figure out what needs that they have, and try to create those experiences so that, like you said, it is an experience. It's not just, you don't want them to feel like they're just staying somewhere or they're just a bedroom. You want them to remember. And like you said, it's easier to spread bad news than good news. So you want to give that opportunity. I mean, if a guest has a special experience or something that they remember, and again, it still goes back to what we're talking about, how we cannot let go of the human touch, because people don't do business with buildings, they do business with people. So those are the experiences that they will remember, and then also tell other people about it. And before you know what's happening, you have those return guests and new guests as well.
Yeah. I think I can mirror that, or I can definitely reiterate that as well, as a guest or as a user, as a consumer of what you have on offer. Jennifer, if you would like to add to that.
Yeah, again, Susan's submission is great. I think beyond technology, because you can get tech and it's just a shiny new toy. But beyond technology, for me, with customer experience or what we were talking about, personalization, is creating a culture where your entire team, they're thinking of customer experience. That is what drives, that should be the focus for everybody. You want to create that culture. And this is where HR comes in. I tell you that your institution or your hotel has to be a learning institution where learning is continuous. Whether it's in customer experience or it's in the skill, in improving the skill sets of the employees. That's so critical. So you want to create an environment where on their own, every team member is thinking of how to make the experience for the guest a wow experience, experience that they will refer to years to come. And I hear you, Linda, when you said that when you're working for an international brand, you represent the brand, the international brand, not just your local hotel. It is challenging for us. And I'll tell you, it's for us, the plus with Hilton. I mean, Hilton, Marriott, whatever it is, Radisson, these brands are known for great experiences. Guests have more positive stories to share. So for us in Africa, you go to a World of Astoria in Dubai, for example, and you come to Nigeria and you're coming to Transcorp Hilton, the expectation is the same. So for us, it's actually, the bar is quite high for us to meet. And that's something that we tell in all our stories when we have our meetings with our team members, and we share the stories that this is what the guest expects, because this is what they've received in another sister hotel in another country where, technology is top notch, where the facility is probably newer, or it's also, you know what I'm talking about. You want a team that is creative, so they know that this is what the guest is expecting, or this is what we're focused on as a company, and you want them to be creative. We do things here where we reward people when they share stories, where guests share stories about how they went up over and beyond to make the stay great. So there's also that part for HR to help with rewards and recognition. That also drives the culture. So with all this, creativity, innovation, it all comes from trying to drive personalized experiences for your guests. So it's not even personalization is not something that guests are wowed about anymore. Is what they've come to expect. They want you to create something for them. So whether you have a 600 bedroom or a 300 bedroom around that property, there's something you can always do. There is something you can always do. You can split your team. Your guest relations team can become I like to say the stalkers online who get more information, become very resourceful about, and you prioritize. I know it's 600 bedrooms you want to go with. You prioritize the guest. If you have some loyalty program you want to dwell with, maybe the top, start from there, but basically build a culture around the company that is focused on the experience. Yeah, thank you.
Oluwatoyin?
Yes, I just quickly wanted to talk more or have my voice with what Tosan and Jennifer mentioned. It's actually what people now expect at the minimum. So it's no more luxury. It's no more luxury that I want to feel at home. It's no more luxury that I want to have memorable stay. It is now the basic. It's just the basic. It's just the basic now. So being a global brand, now needs to double up, as you rightly mentioned, because you know that it's an entity, a property that we represent here. We are not just locals. We are the names people know. We are the Radisson, we are the Marriott, we are the Hilton people know. So it's more for us to now know that this is what these people expect, and then we hear more of, oh, this is not what I have paid for. And everybody now knows that it is now upon us. And true that Jennifer had mentioned it is more of the HR team to know that and bring it to faces. All these reviews that have been put up, because at every guest stay, we get their reviews, which is more of what digital technology has done to us. We quickly get their report even before they leave the premises. All right, from their screen, they can say, how have you been? Especially if they are staying more than one day, they can quickly report, and then you have your pagers, you have all apps that you can quickly resolve people's issue before they even leave the premises, which is even more important than even why they leave the property. So, being used and replied to with, you have timeline that all the reviews are to be responded to. Positive, how are you replying them? Those are the things that we have to, look at. That okay, this person had even left without even saying a word, oh, good, bad, and the reward system really keys into it. If they are good, let them know you have done well. If a staff's name was mentioned, mention it, speak it out, display it. And if it is otherwise, which we really do not want, and you just need to resolve it so that it doesn't repeat itself. And being fast and responsive is just the way out around it. Making memorable stay is just the least expected of our guests now. Making them feel at home, making them feel the environment is what the minimum they expect of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Your hand is up.
Yes, I think to collaborate with what Tony just said, what we do here is that we share both the good and the bad, comments, and of course with the Staff of the Month program that has both a certificate and a cash reward would also help to boost the morale of staff. But I have a different perspective to what Tosan and Oluwatoyin had raised regards. I mean, they are the big guys in the house. So, but I think that guest experience is a lot easier to handle with them, with the big brands than with the independent hotels, because when a guest has a bad experience with Marriott Lagos, the guests would tend to forgive because he's got a lot of better experience elsewhere. He was okay, maybe just one of those things. He's a Marriott, just one of those stuff, and then he will just forgive, even though, of course, yeah, I know. Tosin is shaking her head.
Both of them are shaking their heads.
But I know, because at the end of the day, yes, they're going to raise whatsoever they're going to talk about. Yes, I don't like this. But after that, they tend to forgive a lot faster because of a lot of experience, because most of the guests for Radisson Marriott are loyalty members with their loyalty card. So they have slept in almost all the in most of the other branches, but it's different for independent hotel. I mean, that's just it. Like the review is a little bit more aggressive than it would be for the branded hotels.
Perspective is everything, and I think perspective is everything, specifically in your industry as well, because what one person would like as an experience, another person also would think, what is this nonsense? What are you doing to me here? So that's also something, but Brian, that I think we need to take into consideration. That is such a difficult juggle within your environment as well. But Alabi wants to say something. Alabi, if you would like to add to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to add to that. I think it is very critical for hotel to be data-driven this time around, especially when it comes to feedback from guests. But like what Brian mentioned earlier, it is not always easier for non-branded hotel, whether we like it or not. There's this recognition, especially international recognition, that actually covers the big brand. So feedbacks has to be look into, and to make several informed decisions as regard to customer satisfaction. And I keep mentioning to my management team, customer satisfaction has to be a continuous process. It's not something that you do today and you stop tomorrow. You look for all manners of ways to ensure that these guests actually enjoy their stay. And like one of the panelists mentioned earlier, it is now becoming the basic. It's not something extraordinary. So another thing that we normally do from our home end here is, importantly, long-stay guests sustain most hotel businesses in the country, whether we like it or not, long-stay. So what we do is to, kind of arrange a kind of in-house guest cocktail. Now, the opportunity you get from this is to be able to relate, with one of these people one-on-one. Most of the time, you have the opportunity to talk to some of these people that are expatriate from various countries, from several nationals, as regard what we've been doing, so well, an area through which we can actually improve. And you don't do that by word of mouth. You play light music, then you have the small chops, the grilled chickens, and what have you. This has actually worked. You can actually ask several questions when guests are in their relaxed mood. So you can arrange it in such a way that probably when they are just coming back from work. So we notify them via small slip that we keep through the housekeeping department in the various rooms, that on so day we are going to be having in-house guest cocktail. Then lastly is the culture of recognition. When staff try to go extra lengths to make sure that guests enjoy their stay, then such staff should be recognized. So that's my submission. Thank you very much.
So I think when it comes to feedback as well, which is what is for anyone, whether you are small independent or whether you're part of a global hotel group, feedback today, because of technology, is public. So when you get a bad review, you get it on a platform where several millions of people have access to, and where 20,000 of them send a like to the bad feedback, or, because it's so much easier to do that. So you're assuming within your environment that not just the one person is saying that about your establishment. There are many people saying that about your establishment because it's such a public thing now, because it does do so much damage to the brand. If there are people out there who are only looking online to book online, their first experience, their first, whatever it is that they're experiencing. So I think as far as technology is concerned, that is also something that when you talk about feedback, is to be considered and is to be understood. But I have to draw a conclusion and get us all to bring the points together. And I'm going to do that by asking each of you to answer to all the people wanting to go into the hospitality industry, that to ask, what advice would you give them to a young person? There are people on the panel, there are students on the panel who are doing business degrees, general business degrees, retail business degrees, or people who think that they can turn their place of residence or something of residence into an hotel, or into something that people can experience as a hotel. What advice would you give to a young person wanting to go into the hospitality industry, knowing the disruptions, knowing that you need to be agile? What would you tell that person before entering, or who are already there as a young employee? What is it that they need to know in order to reach the positions that you are at? What do you think is most cardinal for them to know about the industry? Tosan.
I think the biggest thing is, first, you need to be people oriented. If you are that person that likes to work in a cubicle and just be by yourself, then you don't belong in this industry. You have to be people oriented. You have to be interested in interacting with people. And the second thing is never stop learning. You have to be open. You cannot stop learning. The same way HR is evolving by the minute, you have different initiatives coming up. It's the same way hospitality is evolving. And I'm excited to see what's to come in the in the upcoming years. So you have to be that agility, that innovation, the openness. You can never feel like you know it all. So for me, those are two key things that I would say, I would advise if you want to come into the hospitality industry.
That you have to understand. Jennifer.
Just to add to that, besides doing, just to add to that, hospitality is broad. It's not just about hotels, the travel and tourism industry altogether. So it's very broad. So one of the things I would say is do the research and find where you fit. It's a very wide industry. You want to focus. There's so many careers that you can build. So you find where you do the research, find what fits you. And I know Tosan said that if you're a quiet person, there is a place for you. I mean, it could be in finance, it could be in anything. So it's a very broad industry. Don't restrict yourself. But this is what I would say on a lighter note: get in for the ride of your life. This has been the most exciting time in my career. Honestly, I think the first week I resumed, I've had the notion of writing a book, because the kind of stories you hear, the interactions, they're something out of a movie. Seriously. For me, I told the general manager I met at the time, Kevin, that, oh my God, are you planning to write a book? Because it is so interesting. So it's an industry that, and in Africa, I know that it will expand. In Nigeria, for example, there's so much potential in the travel and tourism industry. So yes, please come on board. This is one place you can build a career. People rarely retire from hospitality. I need to say that, but it's really interesting. So just find where you fit, do the research, get your education. Like Tosan has said, a lot of us didn't even come from here. We pivoted by chance or by design into hospitality. So there's room for a lot of people, really, and with tech happening, and there's so much disruption. So there's opportunity for you even in tech, in hospitality tech. Transcorp has a tech site called Aura, right? That's similar to the Airbnb platform as well. So the people from tech in that space, so whether you're a programmer or you are a web designer or anything, but you have interest in hospitality, that's where you fit. So you can come in and play in that space and really succeed. So yeah, that's my own take.
So don't limit yourself by only thinking that you're going to serve people dinner. When you go into the hospitality industry, there is so much that the industry, I mean, we spoke about it today. We're saying that, you know, on the how people are now booking in online, booking in, you know, all of that. It needs to be created, needs to be designed, right? Taye, your advice.
Thank you once again, Linda. So my advice, I mean, whether you're going into the traditional hospitality, so the brick and mortar hotel, or you're looking to go into the asset-light strategy, which is, I mean, one of our own products from the asset-light strategy, like Jennifer mentioned, is the Aura by Transcorp Hotels, which, you know, has shown that even people in the tech space, you know, there can be like a convergence with between the tech guys and hospitality. So whether you're doing the brick and mortar hotels or you're doing the asset light strategy, I think one major thing that you should think about is flexibility. Again, one other thing that we have seen is how information has been democratized, where you can have access to information anywhere. Someone had mentioned earlier how hotels are now doing 3D view of the hotels, and you have it on the website. So you don't even need to, you don't have to leave where you are to have information regarding what the building can look like, or what asset-light strategy you can deploy. All this information are out there for you. In addition to that, for instance, if you're going into the brick and mortar, you need to think. When I say flexibility, you need to think of how to also run lean. So one of the challenges some hotels had during the COVID period was, you know, you have a very big hotel, perhaps you have three buildings where you have a number of rooms in those 3 buildings. But now, because you don't have full occupancy, I mean, occupancy dropped almost to 15%, 3% in some hotels. So when your occupancy drops, think of that lean structure where you're able to perhaps shut down some aspect of the building. So if you had put that into consideration when building, you're able to segment the building such that if you have very low occupancy, you can shut down operations in different areas, except for where you have people. Sorry, I don't know. Is this frozen? Can you hear me, Linda?
I was frozen. My power was off, but I'm
okay.
back.
Okay, I actually noticed that. That was why I had to check. So yes, think lean so that you can avoid wastages where you don't have the full occupancy. How can you move things around? That flexibility is very, very important. So you need to think of that flexibility, the innovation. You need to see how you can leverage on technology, because I mean, it's come to stay. It's improving our operations day by day. So we have to constantly think of how we can leverage on that technology and how we can ensure that when we need to run lean, we're able to run lean. And when we have a fuller occupancy, we're able to be full blown. So that would be my advice for anyone, you know, considering the sector. Thank you.
Okay, so now hello? Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
great. Thank you very much.
At some point.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Brian. Oluwatoyin, if you would like to give your advice, put your advice on the line out there.
Okay, thank you, Linda. It has been a wonderful time here. So my advice to young ones that would like to come into hospitality, I would say, why would you want to join us? You really need to know your why. Otherwise, you may not find it interesting. You really need to know your why. Because it's funny. Many people will tell me that, yes, they pay very, very well in hospitality. That is why I want to join. But we don't just throw out money. We don't just throw out money. We pay value. We pay for value. What are you bringing in? What are you bringing on? What can you do? Tai was mentioning running a lean strategy. Yes, but can you do other things? Because it's actually cheaper for me to employ a robot than a human being. So if it is just one thing that you want to do, then it's better I go with a robot. Of a tool, you cannot do every other thing. But what else can you do? So one thing I would say is that in addition to, if you really know why you want to join hospitality and you are clear about it, academics, learning, what can you bring on? Be confident. Be very, very confident and humble. We can always train for skill. We cannot train for attitude. So many times they will run all, go and meet HR, go and meet HR, I'll say, When it is attitude, sorry, it cannot be trained for. So having good attitude will take you to places. Hospitality is beautiful. You can grow across the ranks from the lowest level up to the general manager. It is possible when you already draw out why you are coming in. So you have the opportunity to move, to stretch, to grow. And with even at the smallest hotels or wherever, you can do many things. So you have understanding about every other thing. Be ready, be available to learn. And one more thing I would add is that be reliable. Can we call on you when we need help? Those are the things that will guide if you will really need you help, or when we want to, maybe in times of trouble. Can you be reliable? Can we call on you at any time? There are some times you might have, it's funny that the different times that airlines are working, we might need some people, running maybe additional hours. Are you available? Can we rely on you? If we call you, won't you tell us you are out of the country when you are just beside the building? These are the things I just have to mention to us. We don't just throw out money. We only pay for value. What value can you add to us? And good attitude will take you to places. Be confident. Wherever you can achieve, wherever you can think of, you can achieve it. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Brian, if you would like to be very close to closure, Brian.
Oh, thank you very much, Linda. There are two ways you can join the hospitality industry, maybe as an investor or owner, or as an employee. So, and I think that for the purpose of this meeting, I would like to address with specifics to wanting to join as an employee. And I'm going to be very honest about it. With due respect to all my HR people that are in this panel as well. I have over 16 years experience within this industry. And I've been fortunate to work with the Starwood, Southern Sun, and then 2 independent hotels and all of that. And I've also grown within the ranks to the highest of that, of the field I choose. Of course, before now, everyone would thought, I used to think before joining the industry that hotel was just about making food and serving food. And that was all about that. But there's a lot of career opportunity within the industry, in technology, IT, as you would call it, in customer service. Of course, the best customer service providers are those in the hotel, you know, whether it is in food services, whether it is in maintenance and all of that. I joined, you know, the finance line, and I've done finance all through, and I've been a very good finance person through the industry, of course. So there's a lot of opportunity, you know, and of course, if you are a high flyer, you can also grow within the industry as well. But I have to raise one point here, because there are, in terms of pay parity with locals and expatriates, that is also very huge. And then if you're a Nigerian and then you are in the finance and operation cadre, you don't have too many opportunities. If you are someone that earns for the very top level job, you don't, especially with the international brands, you don't have too many opportunities to become finance director or finance manager, or to become a general manager. You know, we have a few Nigerians that have reached that level, but it's really not commensurate to what you would have if you were in South Africa, if you were in Kenya, and all of that. So these are some of the challenges that we have experienced, you know, within the industry, and they are still there, they still exist. And my human resources directors and managers will agree with me that this is what is there. So there are certain levels that you really cannot go if you are, you know, if you are in the finance or in the operations line of things. So this becomes some of the challenges that that we get, or people get within the industry as they move in. But overall, you know, you need to be very, you know, empathic. Empathy should be in you, and you should be able to empathize with guests when they have their complaint. And then your emotional intelligence should also be very, very high. I remember one of the hotels I did interview, if you're a supervisor and your EQI is not to a particular level, they will not take you, because you are going to meet guests with different, you know, for different purposes, different experience, maybe from the airport, maybe from the flights. And if your emotional intelligence is not at a particular level, you are going to mess up the entire place. So, but overall, the industry is quite exciting. I've done a very extensive work in this industry, in tourism, in travel. I've done very, very extensive work, and it's really, really, you know, still a green field for the industry in this country. And of course, a lot of entrepreneurs could go into it, and then you can make a lot of fortune out of it. And that is what I can say, beyond just an employee, there are little things you can pick up within the industry, and then for new entrants, and then you can make quite a lot of things, a lot of money to keep yourself going. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Taye, I'm going to give you the final word, seeing that we have exceeded our time frame and we're stealing some of the panelists' time here. Yeah, I know, time flies when you're having fun, right? So, Taye, if you would like to conclude this discussion for us just before I say goodbye to everybody. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Linda. So I had raised my hand because I wanted to add to what I had said earlier, but perhaps it's also a very good way to conclude it. So I was going to speak about, you know, the next big challenge that we envisage in the industry, which is, I mean, a lot of people are going the asset light route, you know, not the traditional brick and mortar. A lot of people are really going towards the asset light strategy. And I see that one of the biggest challenges that we would, you know, experience in that space is how businesses are able to fine-tune the asset light model to ensure they have a clear path to profitability. Because the asset light model requires a lot of third-party services that you get. And then you, as the business owner, you have just a certain percentage from all these third parties. So for the young people or for people looking to go into that business, if you can actually already start seeing how you can fine-tune the asset-light strategy to ensure profitability, it will help you stay ahead of the industry, because I think that that's the next big challenge the industry is going to be faced with, how they can stay profitable with asset-light strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A lot of questions posed, a lot of gems there as to how this industry is growing and how this industry, number one, is recovering, but ultimately growing towards the needs and towards serving people individually, but serving people. That's still very prominent within everyone's discussion. It's still a people's business. Yes, it's been made steadfast and streamlined with technology, but that people touch, the experience is still why people continue to book with you, still why people continue to want to go and live that life that you are advertising, that you are marketing, that you are presenting, and ultimately delivering on. Ladies and gentlemen, my sincere thanks and my apology, number one, to steal 5 minutes of your time. I'm so sorry. I know we didn't agree to that. But my sincere, heartfelt gratefulness for you to join this panel, to add value to the attendees online as well, bringing the real of what the industry is about, specifically from a hotelier perspective, to bring that to life and to show us what it means to be in the industry and the passion that you still carry to with this industry, no matter how hard you were hit or punched in the face by everything that you are being confronted, that you're still there, you're still making a difference, and you are still providing people with a very unique service, which is what we buy into. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful for your presence. I thank thee for participating so beautifully, and I wish you all the love and light in every opportunity that comes your way. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Thanks, participants. Oh, I didn't even listen to I didn't even give them a chance to answer their questions. Oh well. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.
Bye.